Hello everybody, welcome back to Max Reviews. I'm Brayden, and today we're going to be reviewing Top Gun for obvious reasons. So today we're going to be reviewing Top Gun, and in the next few days I'll review Top Gun Maverick. And I had never seen this movie before. I wouldn't have seen it if the sequel hadn't come out, and thought, hey, let's check out if this movie's any good. So here's my review for Top Gun. So, when it comes to these sort of mid-80s, sort of like Tom Cruise movies, I'm not one to really jump on them. Like, they'll be in my watch list as, yeah, that's something I gotta check out. And then I won't really get to it until I just have an open day, or until, like, for this movie, a sequel comes out. And for Top Gun, I've never been extremely interested in it. The only reason that I was interested or knew what it was because of the sequel, and that was a driving force for me seeing this movie. And after watching it, I would say that it's about what I expected, if not a bit worse. So, this movie is mid-80s, so it's got some of that 80s movies aesthetics to it, with the performances, the way the movie works, the effects, everything. And I wouldn't exactly say that it's dated, but it's not exactly my type of movie. It's very simple. It makes coherent sense throughout it. It's very simple story structure, and I thought it was fine. It didn't have anything amazing about it that made me go crazy, and I can sort of understand why people have been really enjoying this movie for years, and why they sort of like, oh yeah, Top Gun, that was pretty good, and then they go see Top Gun Maverick. And this movie was just that sort of fine movie. I enjoyed Tom Hanks. I enjoyed the cast. The entire plane effects in the movie, I think, are done pretty well. The music, I thought, was pretty solid. The romance in the movie didn't really hit for me in this, and one of the main things here is it didn't really feel like there was that sense of suspense or something big that you're looking forward to in the movie. It's just stuff happening, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but nothing feels like super set up, or like you could definitely tell this is what's gonna happen, and this is the story structure. If I try to tell you the plot, it's about a bunch of fighter pilots dogfighting to be the best, and there's a romance going on and a friendship. There isn't exactly a giant plot, except for that simple premise, and I'm okay with that, but it just didn't hit it the right way for me. I don't know. It's hard to talk about this movie, because so many people love it, and I'm still trying to figure out what the big thing was here. Maybe it's a bunch of a nostalgia, and it is just a fine movie that people grew up with, but for me, it just, I don't know. I thought just everybody did a good job in the movie, and this plot about these characters and these pilots trying to become the best, pretty generic, but I sort of bared with it, and it was definitely sort of entertaining at quite a few times. The dogfights are pretty entertaining. I enjoyed Goose's and Maverick's relationship. The rivalries between them and Iceman and the other pilots that are competing there are pretty good. It works out nice. It feels like you have this sort of heated rivalry while also not being really like overblown or crazy. It feels real. This movie has quite a few plane things, as you could tell. Just the entire premise is planes, and I think they did a fairly good job with the special effects. Like, you see shots from Top Gun Maverick in the trailer, and it looks so much better than this, but this was quite a few years ago, and I think the planes blowing up got a bit cheesy for me. They were still pretty solid, but just it's good enough. It's not like outstanding or something that's sort of like, wow, they did a really good job on this movie with the effects and with um actually blowing up planes and stuff. And even if they did, it seems a bit okay. And this movie is it didn't really have a like peak for me where I'm like, oh, this is really good. And something that sort of went really when I went into the movie, I'm like, okay, this should be pretty good. And it sort of was like this straight line of this is okay, this is good, this is fine, this is, and it keeps going. It doesn't really have a dip in quality or a jump up in quality. It's all the same throughout the movie. And I guess if you really enjoy that sort of feel to the movie, then you would like this. I know some people that really enjoyed Top Gun Maverick that didn't even like this movie, and I would say that I did like it. I didn't really love it. It was good enough and had some nice parts to it while also sort of feeling a bit generic with the story and everything. Other than, of course, dogfighting and pilots. Goose in the movie, his death, if you haven't seen the movie, sorry, but his death in the movie I think was handled probably the best out of everything that's happening here. And I think that Goose's death doesn't feel as giant as a bunch of other things. Like, there's definitely that sort of peak of emotion that you're supposed to have, but it's not like this giant thing where like, oh, and it just goes throughout the entire thing. It hits Maverick to his core, it shatters him, and it also his wife and his son, but I don't know if that was really explored in the best way. I don't know if that's just me, but I don't know if that really hit the right way. But it is probably one of the better parts of the movie. It's not a giant peak in, oh wow, that got really good. It's just a little, okay, that was a bit better. Mostly a straight line, but that little peak right there, just a little bit better than everything else in the movie. The romance, I'm sorry, as I've mentioned before, just it didn't hit with me. I thought it was fine. It was a nice sort of Tom Hanks sort of charm, makes the watching him and this actress interact together fun and interesting, but it didn't, the actual romance, it felt just sort of okay, nothing super special. And that's basically what I would describe this movie. Nothing super new, nothing super special, just sort of okay, that happened. And I don't really understand how this would get a sequel. I'm very glad that it is, as I have seen the Top Gun Maverick and I loved it. Not to spoil my thoughts, but basically everybody agrees it's amazing. #1 highest grossing movie of the year. But you wouldn't think that they made a sequel to this movie of all of them. And I'm glad that they did, of course, but it was just an interesting choice. I really did love Top Gun Maverick, and I'll be doing my review tomorrow, next day after that, something like that. But this movie, I didn't absolutely adore anything. It was fine. So overall, I'm going to give Top Gun a 6.5 out of 10. It's fine. I didn't love it. I liked it. It wasn't amazing. And I would be interested to hear people's defense of how this movie is amazing. I don't know if I have any Top Gun fans that have seen it and really enjoy it. But it's another one of those movies, sort of like The Matrix and some of the Harry Potter movies, that people are like, oh, they're so good, like best movie of all time. And I'm like, it's fine. It's not as good as everybody's saying. And not to a huge extent, because mostly everybody doesn't think this is one of the best movies of all time, but they do enjoy it. So that was just my quick review for Top Gun. Not a huge amount to say here, because basically my thoughts are it was fine. I didn't have any giant opinions on it other than, yeah, it happened. So leave your comments down below. I want to hear your defense for the movie, or you're agreeing with me, or you just thoughts on the movie. I don't know. So leave them down below in the comment section. Be interested in hearing that. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe to Max Reviews if you enjoyed the video. Braden out.